This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I was trying to get it out here. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't get time. I don't get time.
And welcome to episode number 13 of the Bad Hombres Podcast. I'm your host, Vito Jerome Churko, alongside my usual sidekick and partner in crime. That is the Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles Macaroon. John, how's it going, and how do you like me saying your middle name now to introduce you? Does that make sense and work for you?
No problems, Vito. Welcome to the weekend. Looking forward to the chat. Looking forward to recapping your holiday vacation. My goodness, man. Taking the DSP money and going out to Miami. How was it? Fill everybody in.
Loved every single moment of it. I went to the Ultra Music Festival over the weekend in Miami. Lovely Miami. You can't beat the weather there, the palm trees, the men and women, the cast of characters, and all the great DJs, legendary DJs. DJ Snake closed the show. You had Tiesto, Steve Aoki. I mean, these are all-time legends in the history of electronic dance music. EDM is the acronym for it, and what it's, I think, commonly known as now, too. And I'm getting more and more into the electronic dance music movement. And
why?
I've grown, I think, accustomed to it throughout college because of my college atmosphere and life and being with my buddy Nick. Nick Schmigel always gets shout-outs on here, doesn't he? He doesn't even listen to this darn podcast, but he does get a lot of shout-outs, and he should listen to this very podcast, as, we try to bring the fun and some hijinks, hilarity, and recapping of each and every single one of our weekends. And mine was great. It was kind of lavish, lots of money spent, and on the right things, only the most safe and appropriate things, and things that were really necessary, remember, too. Anyways, spent a lot of time and money in Miami, a lot of time on the beach as well, in the sun. Now, I like sunbathing. I don't know if you do or anybody else does or listening. I bet somebody does out there. And I don't know if it's weird for a man to like it, but I do like sunbathing a little bit. And I know Doc criticized me on the Tigers Talk podcast this week for not looking tanned enough. I don't know why he's criticizing me for that, but he's saying that I didn't get tanned enough. So, hey, if he wanted to spend my money, then he could have. But, I was spending the money the way I wanted to spend it. And the DSP network budget for a trip like this, well, guess what? It's not in the budget. So I kind of just took the money, ran with it, didn't tell Doc, went on the trip. But no, in reality, it was actually my own hard-earned money, and a lot of that hard-earned money was spent. And it was spent lavishly at times. It really was throughout my trip. And I was in Fort Lauderdale and actually Pompano Beach. I was in the Keys, Key West, as well, and in Miami. So a long, long trip in Florida. And I left, actually, what will be now. It was last Wednesday I arrived in Florida and to Pompano. And then I went to Key West on Thursday. And that Thursday night, though, was in Miami. Thursday night until early Monday morning of this past week, I was actually in Miami. And then I went back to Pompano with my buddy Nick's cousin, and that's where he resides. Had a great time with him. He's a great guy. And we actually, on this past Monday, we went out to a few different locations, got a good bite to eat for lunch. He had to go get a deal done. He's a big-time real estate guy in Florida, makes some big dollars. Let me tell you that. And after, going to the guy he had to deal with to handle some business, we went to a bar and drank right on the beach. And what's better than being beachfront? And my hotel was a beachfront hotel. It was a 5-star hotel, Fontainebleau, look it up. Historic hotel that Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, including Sammy Davis and others, have frequented throughout the years. So celebrities have gone in to this same hotel that I stayed in and spent way too much money in. But it's a 5-star hotel for a reason, and you got the beach right there. So Nick and I just walked out to the beach one of the days and stayed on the beach and sunbathed for an hour and a half, 2 hours, which once again might sound weird, but we had the time of our lives. And Ultra Music, well recommended. I don't know about doing it all 3 days again because you had to buy a 3-day pass. You couldn't just buy a 1-day pass. I would have probably only gone 1 or 2 of the 3 days because you know what? When you're there, you're standing, getting bounced around, getting nudged, getting elbowed, getting people to ask you, like me, because I'm a little guy here, not even 5 feet tall. I got asked constantly throughout the whole entire 3 days of the event, hey, do you need a lift? Do you want to come on my shoulders? By numerous guys. And I'm like, dude, no. I mean, they're being nice, looking out for me so I can see the concert stage better, obviously. Because I couldn't see anything. I was seeing the backs of a bunch of people. Obviously, better to be behind a woman that's good looking than a guy who's bulky and, had some big time height, like my buddy Nick Schmiegel, who stood behind me most of the time, so he didn't get in my way. Luckily, he knew what to do. And he was looking out for me. My buddy Doug, who came with us as well, Nick's work colleague, was looking out for me. But yeah, I mean, I got, do you need a lift? Or do you want to get on my shoulders? You want to get up? Those phrases were used constantly throughout the course of my 3 days at that Ultra Music Festival in Miami, Doc.
Well, listen, fellow Bad Hombre, how was the nightlife? How was the scene there? Were there a lot of good-looking women? Did you have a good time? Were you and Nick able to entertain other people in your place?
We entertained the masses in my Valiant, get up and garb and the Valiant suit jacket. I donned that, walked around, on the streets, on the beach. I think people were staring and thinking, what the heck is he wearing? But then I actually got some pub for Valiant, took some photos, tweeted out some photos from my own Twitter handle, at Vito Jerome. Better follow me on there for all the Valiant latest and what I'm wearing of the product, and trying to promote the gear, as I'm now being referred to as a Valiant brand ambassador, one of those that are wearing the gear to promote it. So I think it's a good source or, form of advertising. And I had the hats, too, that I wore, 2 different style Valiant hats. And I think they all look good on me because I usually look good myself. And I think I did throughout the course of the trip, Doc.
The interwebs want to know, and they're really curious, and it's a good question. How many digits did you get on your phone from the trip?
Digits. You know what? I don't remember getting digits because I don't remember what was going on at times. Maybe that might have been the case.
Cervezas were flowing.
Cervezas were flowing well. Took some pictures. Met some ladies. Some ladies that were more kind than, or, maybe more classy than others. I'll say that much. As I visited 2 clubs, the one was a lot better, I think, than the other. I had fun at both. The one I went to wasn't strictly a strip club. It was called Club 11. I loved it. Well recommended for me. And my buddy Nick, I know he'll recommend it too. The drinks were flowing. It was great entertainment. And you could walk around, meet this person, that person. High-end club to get into. By the way, my cover was $125 that night. I burnt a lot of cash. Really, everything in my wallet came out of my wallet by the end of the trip. I'll just say that. And I'm not working on a baller's budget. I'm working on the peanuts budget of the DSP network.
Wait a minute. You spent $125 just to get into a place?
Just to get into a club. I didn't count for my 2 Long Island iced teas that I drank, the beers, the Coronas that I drank. Didn't account for any of that. So think about my bill by the end of the night at Club 11. Big money that I didn't really have on me, but I was willing to spend because it was a good time. And that's how I viewed it. It was a good time, kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience perhaps as well.
You think that's the average to get into a club in Miami? Because for me, I never spend that much money to get in. Because 1, I have friends that are DJs. And 2, they would put me on the list.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you got DJs as friends, and you're a VIP. Well, I was Mr. VIP by spending the $125. By the way, at the other club that I went to it was strictly a strip club. I'll admit it. Scarlett's. I don't know where the heck it was located, I know how I got there. But anyways, it was Scarlett's. By the way, Doc. There was some money involved there too, but we got into a booth, a VIP booth, through the help of Nick's cousin and his buddy. His buddy knew some people at the front door, got us in for free, no cover spent. It was like $425 for the booth, by the way. So that was big money there. It wasn't per person, by the way, $425. We split it up, so it was actually feasible. But big money spent everywhere, Doc. And that's why my price is increasing for doing these podcasts. So, by the way, if you were wondering why my salary demands are going up, well, it's going to be because of that trip I just took to Miami.
My goodness, Vito, $125 to get into a place, $425 for a group to sit in a booth. Miami's expensive, man. It's a place that I've been to, and I've been to Fort Lauderdale. Very nice. If you get a chance to go down there, it is a very nice place. But yeah, very expensive. The weather was fun, but it sounds like you didn't get too many digits stored in your phone there.
Well, digits from a lot of people, maybe not women at times, but from other important people, Doc.
Okay.
But we met so many, I mean, seriously, we met so many people through Ultra Music, through going to the bars and restaurants and the clubs. And we ate some really good food, by the way, too. We had some really good pizza from this restaurant in the hotel. And Fountain Blue, I mean, there's a reason why it's a 5-star hotel, by the way, too. It really is that good. And that was a pretty penny, too.
Okay, so listen, I know your mom's paying attention here, so we'll try to keep it as PC as possible.
Oh, we are.
But I do want to know, was Nick having himself a good old time there? Did you have to be his wingman or anything of the like?
Nick can do it. No, Nick does it by himself, man. He's a baller by himself, can handle his own. So, and I think I can handle my own all right.
What did you learn from Nick on his trip? Like, how does he keep it so smooth and be able to pick up the ladies so easily in all these clubs that you guys frequent?
Wow, you're really giving him a lot of credit, man.
What's his game? Because
you're saying that he's a smooth operator before I even say it myself. But I'll admit it, he is pretty smooth, can do his thing, can talk the talk. I think I can talk the talk too, but yeah, he has it going on a little bit more at times. And we both had a lot of fun, and we can be entertained very easily too, and we were definitely throughout the course of the trip too.
So what's the average drink price for a Long Island iced tea and for a cerveza?
$6 to $10, maybe even a little bit more for like a mixed drink or You know, it depends on what you get, obviously. But for the Long Island, I think it was $6 actually or $9 per Long Island iced tea, something like that. So $6 to $10 in that range. So still a little bit pricey and even pricier than in Royal Oak. Somewhere that's maybe a little bit higher end in Michigan. Maybe Birmingham, which I don't even know how much it would be in Birmingham or Rochester, but areas like that, I know the prices for the beers and the drinks are a little bit more, you know, more up there too.
Well, if things don't work out with the podcast network or the journalism thing you got going on, you know, strip club DJ is always, you know, really up there in terms of career opportunities.
Oh, I'm not DJing though. I'll listen to the DJ and have a good old time. I'm not going to be making any money off of the DJ. Maybe I'll entertain the DJ and dance for the DJ and for everybody else. You
haven't learned potentially to bring the EDM to the strip clubs?
Oh, it's there. It's already been there, man. Especially in Miami. Oh yeah, that's the music that everybody's grooving to, man. I mean, that's like the big time club music right now. So if you don't know how to play any EDM, I mean, then you're not going to be a DJ nowadays. And I bet DJ Matt Aubrey knows all about that. That's your DJ friend, right, that you were referencing? Who you think you're a VIP because you know this DJ? How good of friends are you guys, really? Come on, Doc.
Listen, all I can say is in my 20s, I had myself a good old time. I've been to every single nightclub in Detroit. I've seen it all. The fights, the fun.
There's fights too. There's a lot that happens.
The 2 a.m. nights. It's well behind my past, man. I'm a guy that now is trying to fall asleep by 11 o'clock.
Really? I know you like staying up though late still. You were texting me on my way back on the flight back to Motown. So that was nice of you looking out for your co-host, and I really appreciate that too. So want to give you props. Are we on Facebook Live right now talking? Oh, there we go. So a live shout out to Doc as well. And I give him credit for always looking out for me.
How do you spend $125 out of your pocket to walk into a club, man? That's just unbelievable. I cannot physically be able to probably take out $125 to walk into a place. Is it one of those things where all the ladies get to walk in no cover?
I think they did it for free.
See?
I mean, aren't they lucky? We don't have that luxury. I don't look that good to walk in for free. No guy does. So yeah, it's a lot of money to spend. We spent a lot of money, but we had a really good time, and it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience to do what we did, too, and that's how we viewed it, Nick and I, and that's why we were willing to spend the big money that we did as well throughout the course of the trip.
Did the shows in Miami live up to their billing?
I would say so.
I'm a big fan. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that kind of music as well. I know that Detroit and the techno scene in Detroit is huge in the spring and summertime around here. What's it like in Miami? Set the scene for us.
Well, I mean, you had all those numerous DJs that I already mentioned. I think Zed was my favorite. I know the most music by Zed. He has that Clarity song. I love that song. That song can get me going whenever it may be in the week. Even on a Monday morning, can get me out of bed and not make me even worry about or think about the bad weather outside during the winter when it's usually bad and really cold in Michigan. So I loved most of it. There were some that were probably not as appealing to me of the DJs, though. That had like the trance kind of EDM music, which isn't as clubby or as like makes you want to dance. I like the type of EDM that makes you want to dance, makes you want to really get on your feet and go take somebody out or just, you know, get into it. And it makes you feel you can groove to the music, you know, move back and forward, move your head, move your hips, move your leg, move everything in your body, you know, on your body. And it's a great feeling. It was exhilarating for the majority of the time, but once again, I wouldn't spend my money on probably the Ultra Music Festival again because I wouldn't want to do all 3 days and stand all 3 days because guess what? If you don't drink enough water too, you're going to be dehydrated by the end of each day, and then your back goes out on you like the back of Nick. His back was done. My back was shoddy by the end of all 3 days, really by the end of each night that we were there because it's a long day, by the way. It starts at like 4. We got there like at 4 o'clock at the earliest, and we stayed until midnight. Most of the 3 days. I mean, it was long days, 3 days in a row of long days. That's tough on the back, even for a guy that's in shape, for some younger guys like Nick and I. So, and then if you're drinking some cervezas and not drinking enough water, once again, you're going to be dehydrated. So you really have to keep hydrated. If not, well, you're stupid. But hey, we did it too. We weren't always hydrated to the utmost extent as we should have been. So we were stupid too, but it was all in good fun and a part of the Ultra Music Festival experience once again too, Doc.
So in Miami at this festival, are there a lot of professional ladies working at this thing? A lot of people going, "Hey Vito, how you doing?"
There are go-go dancers. You see them, and more on the stage.
That's
not really
what
in the
I was talking
crowd.
about per se. I'm saying, are there any professional prostitutes there, kind of trying to pick up men?
No, but people soliciting drugs. Oh yeah, no,
Molly's galore.
No problem. Anything goes. Oh yeah, guy just walking, same guy all 3 days in a row, walking in and out from area to area, asking people, "Hey, do you want some cocaine?" Really, straight up, no worries in the world. And the funny thing is, Nick and I, we saw a drug bust happen. There was two undercover cops, a guy with his shirt off, looked like he was just fitting in, a part of the crowd. Wouldn't have thought anything about the guy being undercover. Was undercover, did a drug bust right in front of us, and it was crazy. You had people running away from cops, security. I mean, it was fully staffed with security.
Okay.
And that was great to see. And they had to get down and dirty and get some people and, arrest some people. So we saw people get handcuffed. People, knock themselves out by drinking too much and just falling to the ground or maybe because of dehydration and because, in part due to drinking too much. So, you saw everything. People getting arrested, drugs going around, people puking, fights starting a little bit here and there, people getting elbowed, such as myself. And that's what I've always had to watch out for, the elbows of the taller guys. Like, I got to watch out as they're swaying side to side or if they're jumping, because I don't really jump like that. People jump up and down with the music. I'm more just moving side to side, might dance, break out a move here and there. But you got these guys in front of me who are taller with their elbows coming right down on my head. Luckily, I had a hat, usually a Valiant hat, to defend me from all those, all the contact of those elbows, Doc. So I was all right, I guess, most of the time.
2, 3, 4 a.m. You see any medical emergencies? People like passed out or ambulances being called?
Oh, EMS was there.
Situations?
EMS was going in and out. Oh, yeah. EMS was on full duty, man. They were getting paid some good money throughout the course of those 3 days at Ultra, trust me. And they have to be fully equipped and ready to, pounce on, for whatever the reason may be, because there are stupid people that will drink until they fall. And you know what? And then they end up passing out, having to go to the hospital via the EMS. So in defense of Ultra, I think I've already talked about or made this point, but it was fully equipped, fully staffed with the people that should have been there, with the security, with the EMS. So if you did have a medical issue or if you were getting in trouble and were acting stupid and too darn stupid, they were going to find you, arrest you, and get you the hell out of there. And I think rightfully so at times. And once again, it was very fun to see that drug bust happen. I've never seen one happen live. I did see it at Ultra. And that's something I guess you can say now. You can see at Ultra a drug bust happen. And people come up to you constantly offering you drugs with no worries in the world. It's like, what if there was? They're not even thinking. They're not thinking, hey, there might be somebody undercover over here that might just bust you all of a sudden. That guy that kept coming, he had no care in the world about what he was doing. And people were buying off of him. And I saw people smoking. Oh, yeah. You saw the ganja, saw the weed, baby, in the area. You could have had a contact high. We were by so many people that were smoking weed. Nick and I could have gotten high just by standing there in the vicinity of these people. So anything goes. A lot of drugs go and are sold. And a lot of people have fun. And some act stupid and more stupid than others, to sum it all up too, Doc. But my experience, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10, by the way, for Ultra and the experience. But to buy a 3-day pass, once again, which is what you have to buy, you can't buy a 1-day pass. I wouldn't do it again for a 3-day pass. If I could just buy a 1-day pass to see Zed again, maybe Tiesto, maybe Steve Aoki, then I would do it again, Doc.
See, it's one of those things where you describe it, and I've seen it, but to this day, in 2017, for that to be going on is still mind-boggling because, like you said, there's so much awareness now. There's so much, there's so many people watching and looking out for that kind of stuff. People still do that stuff out in the open, and that's what is really surprising nowadays in this day and age is that people are still willing to go out there and sell cocaine right out in front of the open.
Yeah. They don't care. No care in the world. And it's totally illegal. You don't care about the cops being there maybe and busting you? These people are bold. Beyond valiant. They're beyond valiant. That's not even valiant. That's stupid. It's just total stupidity, Doc, in my opinion.
Yeah, see, but I'm the guy that would try, and what you got to do is...
You would try the drugs?
No.
Oh, no, I'm joking.
What you would try to do is you have to develop relationships with some of these bouncers so they can get into some of these places without paying $125.
Right.
So the other thing you got to do is you got to befriend some women. You got to have some
the hot women will help you get in for free. Maybe. We had a duo of chicks, but they went somewhere else. They didn't even come with us.
What happened?
Forget about it. No, these were ladies that Nick and I knew through a mutual friend. It was one of really Nick's good friend's sisters, her lone sister. She came for Ultra as well, and she needed a hotel, stayed the night. We gave her our bed, and they slept there and went before even sleeping the night in our hotel room, they went somewhere else. They didn't even come with us to the bar that we went to, which is when we went to the strip club Scarlett's with Nick's cousin. So they got the room pretty much for free. And didn't even help us get into Live. Live is the hottest nightclub in Miami, in the U.S., I think. Maybe even one of the hottest nightclubs in the world. That Live nightclub is downstairs in Fontainebleau, the hotel that I stayed in. So they probably could have helped us get into Live. And I guess they knew some people to get into Live and didn't even care to try to help us get into Live. Think about that. Man, good for nothing chicks. God. But no, very nice girls. And we were being nice. They didn't have a room. They didn't have anything. So, and once again, it was Nick's good friend's sister, a girl that I know as well. And we were trying to help out some peeps. And I think we did. We did a nice deed as we are in the Lenten season. by the way, and did a nice deed. Anyways, Doc.
So for future trips, what would you say could have been better?
What could have been better is not having to stand all 3 days of Ultra Music. I wouldn't go as early as I did, not to all 3 days at least, and I wouldn't go to all 3 days. That's one thing that I would correct if I was to correct one thing from my trip, because being on the beach, going to the clubs, restaurants, that wasn't a bad thing whatsoever. Now, hopefully it would be less money in the future, or I have more money, so it's not as big of a blow to my bank account and to the DSP network budget, which is limited, very little to none, and as a whole. Doc.
Okay, it's got one scenario that I want to run by you.
Yes, sir.
Just to see what you would do in this situation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, role-playing per se.
Yep.
It's Two Bad Hombres, first ever edition of role-playing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you meet a nice young girl,
Yep.
and you're in Miami, and she's down to have a good time, right? So you take her back, and then she says to you, I like your friend too.
I know what's coming up.
She's like, I want to go back to the room, have some fun, do whatever adults do in the evening hours.
Yeah.
But she's like, I want to spend time with your friend too. Do you let her go, one, or two, do you invite, your boy to the festivities?
I probably wouldn't invite my boy to the table, to the big boys table. Not for that purpose. No, it's me and the girl one-on-one, okay? It's a one-on-one activity for me. I don't care how good I know my friend, how much I like my friend. I would say, now, if she said, are you going to bring up, if she said it has to be him in the equation for it to happen, you're gonna go with that, right?
Of course, I'm gonna say she's a 9 and she's gorgeous,
Yeah.
once in a lifetime opportunity, like a model type
Yeah.
woman. And she's like, I think you're cute, Vito. I think you're great. But I really
like the other guy too.
I like Nick too.
And he
What
has
do
to
you
be throwing in, literally throwing in, or throw himself in to make the equation happen.
What would you do? Do you say, okay, sorry, gotta let you go, or do you say, screw it, I'll close my eyes, get drunk, and handle my business?
The scenario wouldn't happen then. I wouldn't entertain. I really wouldn't want to be there with the girl while my friend Nick is there, involved in the activity, in the adult late night activity as well, which really was an early AM, would have been an early AM activity for us, as we stayed late nights early into the AM until 4:30 at Club 11, getting home back to the hotel at 5. It was one hell of a trip, let's just say that, and one hell of a trip in which we didn't get much sleep. But I think that defines one hell of a trip, too, is when you don't get much sleep, right? When you stay out late, early into the AM, and then get up at 10 or 11, and then get going again and on with your day. So that's really what it was in summation for my trip to Miami, Doc.
Sounds like a great trip. I enjoyed it. You set the scene pretty well. Let's take a quick time out, come back. In the second half of the podcast, some great things we got to talk about. News and notes in the world of sports, news and notes in the world of society. This is the Two Bad Hombres podcast. Stay with us. Doc here for the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Thank you for your continued support and allowing us to keep the studio lights on, the microphones hot here at the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. If you like what you're listening to, you like the variety of podcasts that you hear, definitely check out our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. That's the easiest way to support us. You get all the news from the network. You can check out the work from Vito, myself, all the guys that are putting out great content almost each and every day. And hey, if you're prone to shop online, click through that Amazon banner, go about your business, shop, and then when you're on that Amazon page, just bookmark it. Anytime at all that you make an online purchase, it kicks us back a little something and helps us keep this project going. We've been going strong since 2013, and that's been largely due to the support of our supporters, and we greatly appreciate it. DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
And back here on episode number 13 of Two Bad Hombres, I'm your host, Vito Jerome Churko, fresh off the boat from Miami and looking tan, not tan enough for Doc, though. And Doc, we want to talk about some social media and some stuff that what you have seen lately, and you can seg us into this conversation as well.
So obviously, I just had you on Facebook Live, and prior to going on and airing this podcast, I had some pictures from Facebook and Instagram, and what's happened is many people are now on the train of what Snapchat is. And so for those that don't know, Snapchat is, an instant kind of photo that you could alter and add filters to make funny. Like you can take a picture of yourself and a dog emoji will pop up with a tongue and cartoonish type stuff that adults love. Okay, so Snapchat,
they love the tongues. They love the adults love the
adults
tongue
love. If you look on Snapchat, when you finally get one, and we have to talk about that, why you're not on Snapchat. But if you go on there and you look, a lot of adults go on there because it's fun. It's silly.
It is, yeah.
And you can have fun with kids too. You can take pictures and you can have glasses added on. It's like cartoonish editing of your photos. So Snapchat just went public in terms of their business, and they had a huge IPO, huge initial public offering, huge. Snapchat is now $1 billion company, just like that, through their work, through their efforts, because, you know, within a short period of time, they have more users than Facebook, more users than Instagram combined. And Snapchat is the predominant social media outlet out there. So when people find something that's positive, Vito, what do? They go out and copy it.
Yeah.
So now Facebook has a sharing site, a sharing photo situation. Instagram now has one. And I just say to myself, wow, to promote us, we basically could take a Facebook photo, a Facebook live video, a Facebook Snapchat type photo, an Instagram photo, an Instagram Snapchat type photo, a Snapchat, LinkedIn. We now have at least 7 to 8 different ways of communicating, getting our message out there. And it's quite unbelievable. And I find myself more and more going through and looking at all these pictures from everybody. I was just solely into Snapchat. And then all of a sudden, as you see the pictures of people on top of your Instagram and now on top of your Facebook, and I find myself pushing buttons, and it's taken up more and more of my time, and I'm finding it very hard not to look at what people are doing because I follow a lot of different people. You got people like the UFC's Ariane Celeste, and she's taking nice photos on the beach.
Nice photos, huh?
You got people
showing some skin maybe at times.
You got people going on vacation. You got people taking journalists taking photos of the events they're covering across numerous platforms. There are so many avenues now to share your life that I think it's a little bit too much, and I'm getting sucked in, and I'm having a really hard time withdrawing because within a 2-minute period, I'm starting to wonder if 120 seconds go by, how long can I go without going and checking my phone? And right now, I think I'm around maybe 60 to 90 seconds where I can sit in silence and kind of just stare and do whatever. And then I find myself going to Snapchat, going now to Instagram. And I guess just recently, Facebook rolled out their Snapchat type of photo feature. It's just quite a bit of social media, and I'm getting wrapped up in it, sir.
You're saying too much is going on, and now you're an addict. You are a
so.
big-time addict. Remember, Doc, remember this. You have a wife and 2 kids at home. Always remember that, okay? And what's more important? All of those people in your life. But, I mean, all jokes aside, it is like oversaturating everybody's lives, and now we're all glued to our phones, and I don't care how young or old you are. It's like everybody of all age demographics too, Doc.
You know how I knew I was addicted? I was sitting at home one night, and I'm like, damn, I wondered why Vito wasn't posting so much from his vacation. I don't want to know now, a week and a half later, what you did on your vacation. I wanted to know instantly. If you were me, and I'm at a concert with Steve Aoki, you don't think you should take one picture so that the other people could share?
Oh, Nick was doing it for me.
Oh, Nick has a picture.
And see, I don't live in the moment, okay? No, I should live in the moment.
But that's how I knew. I'm like, wow, because I was thinking, I wonder what Vito's doing. I wonder if he's having a good time. I wonder if he's going to share anything of the nightlife in Miami live. And I'm certain if you looked around and if you were not altered, you probably would have seen so many people taking out their phones.
Oh, my God.
Snapchatting all the falling down, Snapchatting all the, you could have even, kind of put your phone out and try to get the guy selling the drugs. And put an arrow, drug dealer. That would have been cool. I mean,
5-star drug dealer, Hall of Fame drug dealer.
You could have took a selfie with the drug dealer
and put the Valiant hat on him and said he's Valiant because he's selling drugs with all these undercover.
As a brand ambassador, I think that probably was good of you to be reserved and not take pictures with the drug dealer. But
I think that's safe to say, yeah.
But I think maybe a selfie with the drug dealer might have been warranted.
Would have gotten a lot of attention, a lot of traffic to Valiant, to the brand. Even drug dealers use our brand. Look at us. We're open to everybody using our brand and wearing our hats. That would have been the model that you could have gotten from that photo right there. But, God.
You seem to be using social media for brand ambassading. And
more to promote my product, what I'm doing with Valiant, with my work content that I'm producing through the podcast, through writing articles for the Detroit Athletic Company blog, for the Free Press as well here and there. And I like keeping it that way. But I think there is something to living in the moment. I think that too many people are like so infatuated though with all this stuff. And I don't want to sound hypocritical because I'm on Twitter a lot. But if you see my Twitter feed, and I think you can back me up here, Doc. I'm not always tweeting out stuff. I'm not just tweeting out stuff 24/7 about what I'm doing. If I'm taking a poop, if I'm taking a pee, if I don't feel good, if I feel great. Like, people are so infatuated with getting everything out there to the masses on Facebook, on Twitter, letting everybody know about where they're at. Like, you can check in on Facebook. And then it's led to all these break-ins, like, for celebrities and just normal people. Like, they're posting everything about their lives and where they're at every single second on Facebook, on all these different outlets of social media that, guess what? they're getting their homes broken into. They're getting, well, maybe even worse than that. And I think people have to take it back down a notch, maybe a bit, with how they use their social media and be more careful and just aware of their surroundings and who might be seeing their social media posts at the same time. And that's, I think, a key for everybody, no matter if you're a celebrity or an average Joe, but two good looking average Joes like you and I, Doc.
Yeah, and for me, and I'll ask you this: what's the longest you've gone without checking your social media? My sister has noticed that we'll be having conversations, and I'm one of those people that is kind of on their phone when the wife is talking, or when we're having
or when
dinner.
I'm talking and doing a podcast with you. Yeah.
Yep, I am kind of partaking in social media, checking my phone. And she said, "I don't think you could go 2 or 3 days without your phone, and I'll give you a couple $100." I'm like, okay, no problem. And
have you been able to do it?
I did it. I took the $200, but for the better part of the last year and a half, I've only gone 3 days without checking social media. I've been on my phone every single day for the better part of the last 2.5 years with this project. And I know I'm on it a lot because I've sent out about 53,000 tweets from the DSP Twitter site.
Yeah, you have a problem.
It's a problem?
Yeah.
53,000 tweets.
Time to make an intervention here. And who would actually conduct the intervention? Can we get a Doctor, what's the guy's name? I don't know what the guy's name is, but we need an intervention for you, Doc, because you're a social media addict, okay? So get your act together, clean yourself up, and get back to what's most important to you and to your life. All right? You understand me, Doc? And I think a lot of people, though, are social media addicts nowadays, and it starts at a young age. We talked about it, remember, before on a previous episode of Two Bad Hombres, about these kids with handheld devices in their possession early on in their lives. At what? As early as 5 or 6? It's crazy. It's not right, and they shouldn't have these in their possession at such a young age because they become so entranced by all of it, so involved with these possessions of theirs that they're on their phones, on these handheld devices, these tablets all the time, and they don't even form conversation with anybody. They don't make friends the right way. They're on their phones instead of conversing, and you need those verbal interactions, person to person, face to face interactions. If you don't get those at a young age, I think it sets you on the wrong track for the rest of your life because I think you're more susceptible to becoming socially awkward, which I think is not a good thing. I know some people can't control it. Some people are just more introverted than others. And, that's just the way they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think when you start off at a young age with the possession of a handheld device with a phone, a tablet in your hand and being on it all the time, I think that sets you back with face-to-face interactions and with, growing out of, coming out of your shell. And I think everybody needs to at least a little bit, no matter how introverted you may be. And social media nowadays is putting people in those socially awkward positions in their lives where they have trouble interacting with people. And that's a problem. And I think it wasn't as present, and I can't really relate to this or talk about it ad nauseum, Doc, but I don't think it was as such a problem, people being socially awkward, as it was when you were growing up, before the age of social media, and really before the invention of these tablets, of these mobile devices. Before all that, Doc, and I think you can back me up here, it wasn't as bad with people not being able to talk to each other face to face, right? I mean, there was a difference back when you were growing up, probably. And not to date you and make you sound old. You're only 38, so you're under 40. So you're still young. Once you get to 40, then you're old. So you only got 2 more years of feeling young, by the way. But my point here is, Doc, is that I think when you were growing up, it was a lot different with people engaging in conversation. I think it was more easily done, and people were less socially awkward because of that. Do you think so, or am I totally off base here?
No, I agree with you 100%. You see, now, if you just kind of put your phone down and you want to people observe, you want to watch, go to a mall and just see what people are doing. You'll see people walking with their heads down.
Yeah.
There are some hilarious YouTube videos of people just falling into sinkholes, falling off a sidewalk.
Because of Pokemon Go, right? About that craze.
Or just walking with your head down. You'll just notice now, and one of the big things that's a problem is texting while driving. And I'm kind of leaning toward the opinion that cars should be made where you can't get an electronic signal. Outside of the car, unfortunately, if you get in an accident, I know you might need to, but, inside the car, I think that in the next 5 years, you probably will see legislation that comes across that states that you cannot use your phone in your car because too many people when I look outside and I'm driving, I'm a little bit nervous that someone's going to plow into me because they're texting and driving. And I don't know if we should shame people now, or right now only the city of Troy makes it basically you can't be on your phone while you're driving, but it's basically city by city. But I am thinking that nationally in the next 5 years when they do the research, they're probably going to be at least one attempt where they make it where a car, if you're in it, cannot send or receive electronic signals. You cannot get text.
But how about calling? Making phone calls
make
without
phone
using
calls.
your hands. The Bluetooth, having
do that.
Bluetooth help you make these phone calls without your hands being involved. I like that hands-free phone calling of people. I think that's a good asset to have in your car. It's an attractive option to people buying a vehicle or leasing a vehicle. Don't you think so? If you have that option of using Bluetooth, which is a much safer option, then you don't have to have either hand on the phone while you're driving, which is a distraction. I think you're more likely to cause an accident and to be hurt yourself. And the texting and driving, I've never gotten into that fully, and I think that's a bad thing and was always a bad thing and will never stop being a bad thing. I think there has to be some sort of legislation passed at some point in time, and I think it will be passed in our lifetimes, Doc. Some form of legislation to prevent people from texting and driving, and to the point where, it becomes illegal and you get ticketed. If you are seen texting, and I know it is on a city-by-city basis, isn't it? Like you were saying, Doc, where some cities are more strict on that, on the usage of phones and texting, so you just got to watch out at all times of your surroundings when you're driving, and you know what? It's not worth it to send an LMFAO text or something to a friend when you can just wait for that to happen. Or send the photo. If you have a photo to send to the friend, send it later. Don't send it while you're driving.
Detroit Lasher gets in on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. I asked, what is the longest you have gone without checking your social media? He says, as long as it takes me to have sex. So I'd say about 45 seconds.
Nice.
So
world record low time for sex.
Everybody's using their phones. And now you realize, too, have you seen the video of the wrestlers and some of the recent happenings in terms of leaked photos and videos of celebrities and the wrestler page? Have you seen, some of the inappropriate things that have been released on her phone?
Inappropriate stuff in the manner of what? I'm thinking, the worst. Was it the worst?
She's
some scenes where she's getting it on or stuff, like engaging in sexual
with multiple guys, with the WWE Championship belt, doing some freaky type stuff with herself. All released on the internet.
So you have all footage, probably.
I've seen it.
You've archived everything.
Adam's seen it. I've seen it, and
I haven't.
No, you have not.
So do I have to see it?
Were you ever into the fappening and all that kind of stuff? Where someone out there, I don't know who's doing it, but people's cell phones are now susceptible to being hacked, and celebrities are.
Oh, we've seen that. Yeah,
celebrities by the dozens are still, even to this day, taking pictures of themselves, naked and having sex.
How about Verlander and Kate Upton? How funny was that photo, too? It got leaked to the cloud. It got taken from the cloud. So people's phones are being hacked into left and right, and you're taking these photos for what purpose? Like, is Justin Verlander and Kate Upton getting off to this? Do they look at these photos later on and just love them and,
I feel like since the hacks have happened, more people are doing it. It's not making it go away. More, I think,
and it's not logical. Are they continuing on doing so? Or they're elevating it to another level to where they're, like you said, they're doing it more, and it's everybody being hacked. And if you're a celebrity, you're in the public eye all the time. Why would you want the chance of that getting out there to the masses? Do you really want your body to be exposed and your body to be seen by all your fans? I mean, is that the point of it? Is that their purpose? Or they want their body because they think their bodies are so great looking? They want their bodies to be seen by everybody to draw in more fans? And I guess in limelight, any pub is good pub. So is that what they're viewing? Is it that, Doc, you think?
And I think that with the sexual revolution and with the increased power of women and the role of women, many people do say that, you know what, I'm empowered, it's my body. If I'm having sex and someone steals it off my phone, well, then my privacy is being invaded. But the bigger question is whether it's right or wrong to take pictures of yourself, in those compromising positions on your cell phone.
I like how you say compromising positions.
They're compromising.
Any kind of compromising position.
Yeah, and then people will rationalize it and just say that, well, my privacy was hacked, and if I get attention from it, hey, I still get my name out there. And look at Kim Kardashian. She's the prime example of somebody that had a sex tape and then became famous. And now she's got, at least $100 million in the bank and is doing reality shows, and she's famous for being famous. And I think that when I look at it and I say, what has happened to society, there's a lot of good things that have happened with social media and the phones, but the other side of it also needs to be talked about, in that I think more and more people are addicted to their phones. They're addicted to social media.
John Charles Macaroon included.
The doc might be potentially addicted to Twitter. And
intervention needed, please. Help us out here at Two Bad Hombres.
But I like the fact, though, that we do get instant reactions. I like to see the numbers. I'm a stats person. Mm-hmm. So part of it is when I put a video, how many people like it? How many people see it? I'm that kind of person where I kind of am wondering and you see me, I sent you a picture of, not that, I sent you a picture of how many people see our tweets a month. And I'm impressed by that. And it's proof that our followers are not fake or bought. that roughly 1 million to 1.5 million people will see my tweets every single month collectively with all the retweets and the likes and the videos and everything. And I'm kind of proud of that.
Let me bow down to you then, Podfather, the great Podfather.
What did you think when I sent you that, though? Wasn't that pretty impressive?
It was a credit to you and to the network, to all of us at the network. I think so, definitely. Yeah.
But for you, I think that you keep it in moderation. You use it for the business purpose. I do as well. I use it for the network to grow and things like that. But I am fascinated with, because for me, I'm more of a homebody. I'm not a world traveler like you. Like, you get to go on vacation every year. I've been working and building up a practice. So my holiday is basically talking to the fellas the hour a day that we do the podcast. I'm not flying to Miami. I'm not flying to California. But when I get to look on social media, I get to see what the people are doing, and that fulfills me. That's enough for me.
So you're living vicariously through me. So if I left today and didn't want to do a podcast ever again, you would be depressed because you wouldn't be able to live vicariously through me. Oh, actually, you could.
I
still
text
through,
you. No,
still through my Twitter feed.
No, I do consider you a friend.
No, we are friends. Yes, we are.
Yeah, so I consider you a friend, and when a friend has fun, then I feel fun.
Yeah.
I feel like, when you go on a vacation, I feel like good for him.
Now, let me ask you, when a friend's having sex and he sends you a video or photo of that, does that make you have fun too?
No comment.
No comment.
That's a great
comment
question.
included. Well, I'll just go on piggybacking off of something.
Listen,
but anyways.
me and my friends are not that close.
Good.
That's
Well, good. I don't want to be that close with any of my friends either. Trust me.
But do you see, with the cell phones and with what society's doing within social media, do you feel like there's any more avenue other than basically inserting a live camera into your life and just, does everybody want to be on a reality show, a reality star?
I think everybody wants that attention nowadays. More and more people are grasping for it. And you know what? I think you and I included. I mean, we have to admit it, right? You and I do like the attention here and there. And it's good for the podcast network, for building your brand. And everybody, guess what? Wants to build their own brand. You have people all over the nation, all over the world now that don't even really have any kind of profession or passion. Well, besides for, I guess, getting their face out there to the masses. It's like they're not really doing anything proficiently or, that is going towards any great cause, yet they want the attention constantly and think they can build their brand still. And it's like, you know what, if you're doing what we're doing, I think we want to build our brands because we want to, draw on people to listen to our product, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but these people, 2016 was the year of the butt, okay, for all these women. And there's young girls doing this as well. They just want the attention. And, if you're the father of these girls, like you, I wanted to kind of seg into this here. If you found out your daughters are taking these very raunchy photos, I guess you could say, what would you think? What would you say to your daughters if you found that
This
out?
is bad.
I'm not saying they're not in the nude. I'm not going that far here. I'm saying, if they took a photo where they're showing off a little skin, maybe a little bit more than you think, or you think is, warranted, what would you say to your daughters?
Listen, we'd have problems. No, they're going to be taught quite early. They're not getting a cell phone until they're at least a 16, 17,
Yep.
and it might start off being a flip phone. I'll find any avenue to go back to old school because, the biggest thing that teenagers find, and they're impulsive. They don't have control of their impulses, and they take photos. And nowadays, what do you hear? You hear kids passing around these photos and snapping
In
it.
high school, everybody's getting photos of this girl, and I mean, it's wild, man. All the stuff that gets out there, and then it spreads on social media. And then guess what? When you try to apply for a job when you're 21, 23, guess what? It hurts you in getting jobs because your employer can see all of that. So be careful about what you post on social media. And truly, think before you tweet. Think before you post on Instagram, on Snapchat, and all these different social media outlets, because if you don't think now, you will pay for it later on in life.
You got it, Vito. So find out. So if you were going to do an intervention, what would you do? Would you just gather a bunch of people?
Take the phone, throw it all the way into some nearby river or lake or whatever, and never allow you to have a phone again. But that would be tough. And I wanted to ask you said you really went 3 days without a phone. I don't believe that. When did this happen? Not in the existence since the DSP network started. Can't be.
There's been a couple days where
since the Detroit Sports Podcast Network started.
I
Really?
believe so, yeah. It was
Really? You've gone 3 days.
It might have been right around the first year, probably in 2013.
So maybe
2014.
early on in the stages, the early stages of the DSP network. I'll give you that at least. I'll give you credit for that. It says something about you that you had the power in you to go 3 days without your phone. Because I'll say this right now, I don't see you going 3 days without your phone. Right? I mean, could you go right now 3 days? Give me a day. Can you go a day without your darn phone right now?
It's a good challenge right now with what we're doing with the podcast and how I communicate with everybody and what I want to see now with the increased. I want to see right now. Facebook is new. Not a lot of people are, but Instagram, a lot of people are getting into it. So I would be fascinated if I could go a day. Probably not. Probably not. At this point in time, 24 hours without going
I
on
wouldn't
phone,
put any money on you going a day without your phone.
it's probably now start with hours. How many hours? 5?
Under
4 or 5?
Under 10, under 5 hours.
I'm going to try tonight, I'm going to try tonight not to be on my phone as much. Maybe watch some movies. But like I said, with sports, there's so much information out there. And then there's the debauchery stuff that you can look at too. So it's just a lot of stuff you can get into looking at your phone. So, Vito, I'm a guy that's into it all. Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm into social media, and I probably do have an issue.
There's so much out there that you can do with it, and that's a vice for people. It really has become a vice for people and a true addiction. And Doc, John Charles Macaroon is a social media addict. We have solved that this week on Two Bad Hombres.
We now have the diagnosis. Now we got to come up with a solution. So I'm not in denial. I probably do, but...
Well, at least you're not in denial. Isn't that the first stage, to not be in denial? So you've accomplished the first stage. Now we have to go into many more stages to get you out of this big-time addiction that you have. Now, an addiction that is much worse, in my opinion, is gambling. You don't gamble, right, Doc?
Not too much. Poker. I am a guy that likes to indulge in a couple hands of no limit hold'em now and then. 1-2 no limit. Throw a couple $100 down and see what happens.
How about gambling now on teams in Las Vegas? 2 professional sports teams are going to be based in Las Vegas coming up soon, in the NHL and in the NFL, with the Raiders relocating to Las Vegas.
It's not Vito. It's not the gambling.
You think there's something worse about that? Yeah.
Yes. You saw now the reports that Oakland's going into Vegas. Vegas now has a hockey team as well. The issue is they're going to try to, when teams go in there, they're going to try to stay off the strip. And the reason is because of the haters, one, the people that are seedy, that could maybe try to trick some of these athletes or use women or use scenarios or drugs or whatever to take pictures or lure them in to try to blackmail or get these guys in trouble. But I do believe it's the women, it's the drugs, it's the partying that's going to be more of an issue when teams stop into Vegas than it's going to be the gambling. Gambling will be an issue. There will be some athletes that when they stop into town are going to drop some money. But the bigger issue is, athletes and their marriages, athletes and their relationships.
It might be going by the wayside in Vegas, right?
Because any smart wife of an athlete is going to be taking that trip to Vegas with the fella. Because hell no. Because there's so many people out there that are opportunists that will try and get with these athletes to even get, $5,000, $10,000 to, blackmail them or to, get in a position where they can have some power or clout over an athlete. So it's going to be an issue, and teams are going to have to address it. Hockey, not so much, because the guys are pretty good. They're outstanding guys. By all accounts, when you talk to a hockey player, they seem like more outstanding citizens than football players, basketball players, and the like. I think that more trouble is found in those other kind of sports. But in any situation, any trip to Vegas, man, if you look at some of the periscopes that come out of Vegas, oh my gosh, man.
Periscopes that should never happen. It's like these people with their phones, once again, the social media. What are you doing at times? And then you're like broadcasting live from a strip club. This is really bad. I saw a guy on Instagram the other day. My friend showed me a guy doing this stripper, literally.
On Instagram?
A video. He posted through Instagram, I believe it was Instagram, of him doing the stripper live.
See?
Really? I mean, anything goes in Vegas, and I think it's the temptations that are outside of gambling. You're right. But you know what? You get that in Miami. How about in Miami if you're playing for the Miami Heat or the Miami Marlins? Or you going for a road game or series?
Grab them by the pussy.
And then you grab them by the... Yeah. I mean, look, Trump even said he's our president. But I mean, the temptations are so high in Miami, in New Orleans, in New York, in LA. It's not just Vegas. Now, and the threat of gambling and that becoming an issue with these players being a part of these pro sports teams in Vegas, it might not be as big of a temptation or problem as you think, because
grab them by the pussy.
It is so mandated. It's so regulated in Vegas. That's where it's professional gambling. I know it's high stakes. It can maybe get the best of you, and you shouldn't be gambling on your own team, and that can't happen. We saw what happened with Pete Rose because of it, because he was gambling on the Cincinnati Reds. Thing is, they legislate it. They maintain really, some really good values with it there in Vegas. It's like the best kind of gambling, the safest, the most regulated. So I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, honestly, with these pro sports teams being there. But I think these pro sports leagues have to admit that gambling is a real thing, that people are gambling on professional sports. It is happening. It's not going to end. There is fantasy football that goes on that can be high stakes. High stakes for a big pot of money can be involved. And members of the league are doing it. There are people in the NFL, players. Tony Romo has tried to do this fantasy football draft there, convention there for how many years, and the NFL hasn't allowed it. Well, now, if you're going to have a team there, how can you tell Tony Romo or others that want to do an event like that in Vegas to get out of Vegas? How can you actually do that? They have no grounds for doing that now, the NFL, or any pro sports league with a club there of their own. I think it deletes all of what the NFL has done in the past. It removes what the NFL and these leagues have supposedly stood for with not wanting to get their hands involved into what they've considered or labeled as dirty waters. Guess what? They're full steam ahead. They have dove full in. They're fully into these dirty waters now, and they have to admit it and kind of just take it for what it's worth and not be as stingy on these people who are involved with the fantasy football, with the daily sports.
So how many seasons do you think before someone gets in trouble? First season? Right away? When the hockey team starts and the football team starts? Do they get in trouble? Does somebody get in trouble the first year Oakland and the hockey team's there?
I think it will be so well regulated by the teams and by the league, and because it is by Vegas when you gamble. I don't think anybody's going to get into significant trouble. I think it'll be somebody on a road trip that comes in, not from one of those pro sports teams in Vegas, Doc.
Faith in society, yeah, year 2.
I have some faith. I would say, yeah, it'll take until year 2, and then something will happen. Something will hit the fan. But I think it'll be somebody from a road team, a player from a team coming into Vegas to play against the Raiders, to play against the new NHL franchise that's going to be located in Vegas. So it's going to be those players coming in on the road for a nice weekend. They're going to live it up, especially if you got a baseball team over there, or like in the NFL where you only play one game during that week and you go in there, you're in Vegas for the weekend to play the Raiders. Guess what? These players from these opposing teams are going to live it up and get into some trouble. And yeah, and then the NFL just has to, grin and bear it, has to live with it. The NHL has to live with it. And they can't deny the fact anymore that it is going on. It's an active part of sports. Gambling is and will never not be an active part of sports, even though you can't really use, well, it's a double negative what I just said, but you know what I mean. Gambling will never go away, and people will always bet on sports. And you know what? Through fantasy sports leagues too. And like I said, the daily fantasy sports leagues and all of that stuff, it exists, and these leagues can no longer deny it, Doc, to say the least.
All right, to end the podcast, a new segment debuted, Clip of the Week. We scoured the landscape, Vito and I, obviously for show purposes, for show prep, kind of go around and we check out some clips and YouTube and things that we come across. A great Deadspin thing came across where a soccer player came out and I don't know, he tried to cover it up, but let's listen to this and we'll wrap up the podcast exploring what this guy said and is he lying or not? Let's see what he said in the Two Bad Hombres Clip of the Week.
I always wish to win one of these, and I got it. So thank you very much for this, for giving me this. And I appreciate my fans also. My wife and my girlfriend. My wife. Yeah, sorry to say. I'm so sorry. My wife, Lizzle, I love you so much. Aya, I love you so much from my heart. Ne? So must keep on supporting me. And thanks for to come to the game. Yeah, we needed 3 points because the position.
He just dove into some murky waters, didn't he, with his wife?
You believe him or no?
I believe that he has a wife and a girlfriend. Trust me, a lot of players do, because they don't admit it on live television in a post-game interview like that.
That was funny. When I first saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, what a clip. It is one of those things where he does look to be a little bit of an honest kind of guy, and that some guys do kind of forget to differentiate, and they call their wives their girlfriends and things like that, or they forget to call them their fiance. But, there is some room for shadiness in terms of soccer players, because in Europe, similar to here, the groupies aren't for the basketball players or for the football players. The groupies are for the soccer players. So.
Oh, yeah. They're looking for the big-name professional soccer players, definitely. And the thing is,
guess what,
keep your pencil in your pocket.
Guess what I hear?
Come on.
I hear that there's a lot of groupies for podcasters now, too.
Well, good. Where do we go, then, to get the groupies? Because they're not coming into our studio anytime soon, and they haven't yet.
No, do we have? We want to make sure that there's other people here in the building. We don't want to get into any debaucherous type stuff here at the studio. But
so you said we can do it wherever else. How about at your house? Let's make it a bachelor pad. Your house.
All you got to do is wear that fitted Michigan gear, walk out, take a I did buy mic flags with our logo on it. With that, not that logo,
really? Oh.
with the one that's on our website. I'm getting 2 of them coming in, so you can.
I want that bad boy. I'll take it on the road with me.
You can take a mic flag and a mic, and just one day we can just act. You can just come up there, and I'll interview you and act like you're a big shot, and then we can just go forward with that.
Make me look good. I'll get some groupies then. I feel a lot better about myself. The inner being of me will be a lot more healthy. Let's just say that.
Maybe in future editions, we got to explore you being single, because it does have its advantages.
It does.
But there are some disadvantages as well, because on a trip like Miami, you probably want someone there in the hours of like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
For what are you trying to infer, Doc?
Companionship,
You're always trying to
nice
get at
dinners,
something.
nice conversations, nice companionship. Someone to cook you some food or make you something, take care of you in the evening hours when you're drunk.
And studying some history, probably doing some studying of politics and American history and all the above.
Exactly.
Nothing more than that. Obviously, is what I'm looking for. So
exactly.
You know how I keep it? I keep it real, but I keep it safe and professional as well, 24/7, Doc. And we always do on this podcast. We always do.
I really enjoyed this one. This podcast, I really had fun with. We just, like I said, turned the lights on, the mic's on, and boom, an hour went by.
It flowed and flowed. It really did, and we hope to keep doing this every single week on Two Bad Hombres. Doc, thank you much, everybody listening. Thank you very much as well, and tune in to next weekend's episode as well. Goodbye, guys.
See you, Vito.
I was trying to get it out here. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs.